Hi, my name is Molly Racette, and I'm the owner of Molly and Herbs. I make herbal products, herbal honeys, and teas, but what I'm really passionate about is connecting people back to the abundance that this world has to offer, and more importantly, the abundance that the Berkshires have to offer. So today I'm leading a workshop where we'll talk about the immune system, the importance of it, and keeping it balanced, and utilizing our local herbs. So we're going to end with making an apple cider vinegar infusion with the herbs that I picked from the forest. So the way that I was taught through the lens of an herbalist is to think of the immune system as like your barriers. So the immune system is trying to keep what is you, and protected and safe, and what is not you from getting into those places like the bloodstream. Once something gets into your bloodstream, it can go anywhere in your body and wreak havoc. Microbes, good and bad, like our body temperature. So they want to be with us. We are their system to staying alive. And that's a whole different topic, but I will kind of briefly go over that because it is actually our microbes that keep us healthy. So when you start with the first barrier, which is your skin, we have tight junctions so that nothing can get through. So cells are close together. That's our system to keeping things out and in. But we have a protective layer that is full microbes protecting us before it even gets to the junction, before it even gets to the cells of our skin. So if we don't have, like, we can think of like eczema. That's a kind of extreme, but with eczema, your skin cracks, it weeps. That's a place where things can get in. So what is good on the outside is not good on the inside. And staph is one of those microbes that is good when it's on our skin. But as soon as it gets to that lower level...
Did you say staph?
Staphylococcus. Yeah, like MRSA.
No,
Yeah.
so bad for you.
Yeah, it is, because once it gets into the lower layers, it's not supposed to be there. But it is supposed to be on our skin.
Okay.
So even a gentle staph infection, this is kind of going off a little bit, but if you've ever seen a staph infection, it's like it'll start out as a red patch. Okay, well, that's not quite breached yet, but it's showing you, okay, that area is no longer protected by the good guys. It's starting to get into our skin. Okay, but then if it starts to open, that staph gets in, then it can get to the bloodstream, then it's MRSA. Microbes in our day and age are highly resistant to a lot of the things that we can throw at them, which is why herbs are so important, because the herbs respond in real time to the winter that we just had. So the plants that are going to grow this year are going to respond to how much snow we had, are going to respond to how much salt is put down on the road if they're in that immediate area. So the plants and the microbes that live with the plants in the soil are going to respond. And that's why, to me, this is one of the most important medicines that we have in our first line of defense, because we have so many bacteria that are resistant to what the hospitals would throw at them. That's not to say that there's not use for that, because there's a use for that when you get to that. If you don't want MRSA, the herbs are not going to do much at that point in time because it's already gotten way too deep in you. But one of the reasons I wanted to do an apple cider vinegar infusion today is because the first couple of layers of barriers, this infusion can be used for all of those. So it can be used on your skin. And then as you go through, like your digestive tract, that's another barrier. All of our mucus, all of our openings have mucus. That's another layer of defense that we have. And you can think of like boogers. If you're sneezing, you're trying to get that out because something has gotten in that doesn't need to be in. You're trying to get that out of you. Same with coughing. And so the barriers, skin, then your mucus, then your digestive tract, and all the saliva and the juices, the digestive juices. Like, this is thyme. It's no different from, it's literally the thyme that you would cook with. Like, it is an herb that you could cook with. So each one of you is going to go home with something that you make. You can choose any of these herbs to put in them. I've chosen these all very specifically because they do grow in abundance around here. So I'll go through them all, and then we can talk about any that stand out to you, and I can go deeper, because I know that is one of the areas where people are like, whoa, oh my gosh, I can use this for headache and menstrual pains, and if I fall and sprain my ankle, and it gets so big. So something that I want to encourage is, number one, smell everything, because that smell is your way, your body's literal way of learning what chemicals are in these plants that can help you. And apple cider vinegar is one of the great things, because if you have it regularly, you'll start salivating as you start talking about it. When you smell it, you're like, okay, but that's your digestive juices, and you're like, oh, I know that this is going to get my digestive juices flowing. Okay, these are rose hips. There are variations of rose hips. We have an invasive one around here that's multiflora rose. It has these tiny, tiny little flowers to it, tiny, tiny little rose hips to it. Really high in vitamin C, so many different vitamins, but it's one that if you're hiking in the woods and you see a little rose hip, you can actually snack on it, and they're delicious.
And you should, because that one's invasive.
And you should, because it's invasive. And actually, most of these plants, like thistle too, they're not wanted. So most of them are invasive to some degree, but highly medicinal. And that's what I love about this area, is like all of the things that we could use. I mean, there's so many plants that are endangered that we could also use, but there are so many plants that are invasive that are so good for us. Like Japanese knotweed, if you're familiar with the plant, it is, you probably have seen it before and you just didn't know, because it is taking over some places like in North Adams.
It's like a dinosaur.
It
You
is.
dig it out.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, you're just going to make it
Roots are
grow
Yeah.
more.
That's why I'm saying, like, I want this to be I want you all to talk, because I don't need to learn this. It's more about you walking away feeling like you actually learned it. But I thank you for reminding me.
Do you ever do any classes where you take people out and
Yeah.
you can like show them
Yes.
like this is what this is? And
Yep.
That would
As
be
soon as
awesome.
things start growing, we're going to do plant walks again, which
Oh,
is where
sweet.
I really, because
That'd be great.
the more you can smell, and especially when it's fresh, when things are fresh, you get a smell that you're not going to get in time like this. That is like a thistle. I put both of them in here because they're the plants that sit next to the dandelions, and you're just like, man, they're ugly, they're scraggly, you can't kill them. Yellow dock helps specifically in the digestive system, but more specifically in the small intestine. It helps unlock and absorb everything that you're eating. There's so much more I could say about that, but I'll stop there. This next one, if you don't get a smell off of it, take the root and break it, because that one should be really aromatic. To me, it just reminds me of like my grandma's perfume. Really, it's a very aromatic plant.
Yeah.
It's Are you from the area?
yes.
Okay. So do you know Green River Road?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Green River Road? Okay. The tall plants that have these big ball flowers, that is Angelica. The apple cider vinegar has to break down whatever you put in here. So that's, when you're thinking like, oh, I couldn't remember why did she tell us that you're only supposed to fill it this far? It's because whatever thing you're using to break the thing down, it has to have space to be able to break it down, and shaking helps that breaking down. It just agitates it. It helps get everything moving. And so there's the folk way of doing this, and there's the scientific way of doing it. This is the folk way of doing it. There's no measurement. It's just whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. It will break it down. So now you can pick through and put whatever ones smelled good to you or sounded good to you. I can go into them deeper if you have more questions. And then this will be the thing that you take home and use for medicine.
Cool. So earlier you were talking about like if you have a cut that's not healing for a while or it stays red, how that is a sign that your immune system maybe is not doing great. Is that a sign that elderberry would be helpful? Okay.
Yeah.
and a sign that you could take elderberry more often than somebody who, like, let's just say my immune system was highly functioning. I could still take an elderberry, but I would only take it when I started to get a cold or when I started to, get the chills, and because then I do want to boost my immune system because I can tell that something is trying to overtake my immune system. If you checked all those boxes, okay, my cuts, generally have a hard time. Sometimes I get infections. Colds last for a week instead of 3 days. You could take that roughly every single day, or the way that I like to do it is nothing every single day, but you can do it more often than not. So let's say 5 days out of the week, you could take it every single day, but eventually your body's going to get to the point of like, if you drink caffeine every single day, then you start to need the caffeine. But we shouldn't need the caffeine, you shouldn't need the boost of the immune system. You should be able to take that. Sometimes it boosts it, but you don't want your body to rely on anything. And the last one is fennel, which I'm sure everybody knows. So, yeah. All of these could be used for it.
Okay.
And then it's like, do they all affect your liver specifically? No.
But to help the other things.
Yes.
Be good for that.
Any of these would. Mugwort, Oregon grape, milk thistle. And then it would be, and just like the immune system, your liver, like, it needs all of the other things to be functioning well. So before anything even gets to the liver, the digestive juices have to be functioning. So the acid, the pH has to be at the correct. So technically all of these, like if I were making a liver blend, and this is where, like, thinking through the lens of like, what does it smell like, what does it taste like, is to me a better way of practicing, because for your specific body, you have a different, it's called a constitution. Like, are you too dry? Are you too mucousy? So because I have children, I really love to put this in the bath with them because they will not drink it. Oh, that makes sense. Unless I make a switchel with it, which then they will drink it. So I love to put it in the bath with them. You can put it in a foot soak if you are not a bath person, but you want to get it like into the skin. And then, for the people who are like, don't these really work? I'm like, clearly, you've never put garlic on your feet before. Because if you put garlic on your feet, no joke, your breath is going to start to smell like garlic within 20 minutes.
And also, like you're saying, a lot of the chemicals in these plants are what's in, like salicylic acid and aspirin.
Yep, exactly. So and this is why I love herbs, every single pharmaceutical that we have, well, not every single pharmaceutical, but it all comes from nature. So I can say it like that. Every pharmaceutical comes from nature. It had a whole nature form, and then they extracted the chemicals that they were like, oh wow, that chemical is the active. So they're called active constituents. So salicylic acid is technically the active constituent in white willow. And there's so much more to that, because there's so many more that are called inactive that we don't consider to be as specific.
So how long would this be good to use?
Mm-hmm. How long will it be good to use?
Yeah, like, say it sat in my fridge for a couple of weeks or a month. I mean, is it fine?
Years.
Years? Okay.
It's like honey. It doesn't go bad. Eventually what's going to happen is it's going to smell like more alcohol-y, but it stops at alcohol. It doesn't ferment any further.
You said to the 1 cup.
What?
I put time. Maybe I didn't put enough. I put a little mug.
All right, as you can see, we're just about finishing up here. Thanks for coming. You can find me at www.mollyandbirds.com. Bye.